So, in terms of legal philosophy, I mentioned at the beginning legal empowerment of marginalized communities. What's involved with that? First of all, communities need to be aware of their rights. They have to have the capacity to assert their claim, which means the confidence to speak up, knowing who to take problems to, when, if there are timelines, and where, so that they can secure outcomes, favorable outcomes. As lawyers, we have a tendency to be involved with process, but frankly, process in and of itself doesn't help people. It may help them avoid violence because they have a process to go through, but what people really want is to have the positive outcomes that they seek. Positive, just outcomes. Awareness of rights and knowing how to monitor whether local officials, local government is delivering public services as they should is an essential way to root out corruption in the community. So citizens who meet their basic needs then have the right to enjoy public services such as school, health, and safety, enjoy human rights law protections and other legal rights. So if we've empowered people so that they can handle a lot of problems on their own, they still need to know how do they access a lawyer when they absolutely need one, how do they access a lawyer when they need to go to court or they otherwise have a problem that they can't handle on their own. So what are the methods of community engagement? Awareness campaigns are a major one, and in the materials that you'll see on my slides and also in the materials that are part of the reading module, you'll find a lot of examples of awareness campaigns and community media for conveying them. One form of community media that is very popular and energizing is community radio. If there's a community radio in the area where you're working, you'll find that it serves as a platform for citizens to express their concerns. So it's important for you to actually listen to the community radio. And in my materials, you can click on a link to listen to the community radio in our area. Awareness campaigns may occur through schools, through flyers, through posters, and basically engage with civil society organizations that know how to raise awareness in your area. Law students are often involved in legal literacy camps, bringing information about specific government schemes and other legal issues to the community, setting up in one place in a district so that people can come in with their problems. Another method of community engagement is workshops that you could conduct with civil society organizations, where the civil society organization knows the local context and you know the legal aspects. Participatory research on justice issues is another way to engage with communities. If there's a problem in the community and it's important if there's a problem in the community and it's important to collect data to prove that it's a problem in the community, participatory research is an important method to use. At this point in my module, I'll show you some visual images of wall paintings in schools. It may seem curious to those of us living in cities to see these wall paintings, but if you think about it, there's no better way in a village to be transparent about information than to publicly paint information on a wall. So you'll see in the next slides images of wall paintings about midday meals, saying what food the children are supposed to receive. That's important because one of the forms of corruption in school lunch programs is that the people providing the food may siphon it off and give the children something of lesser quality or lesser quantity. So these wall paintings are really important so parents know what to look for to monitor a midday meal. Another slide in this module is about public distribution system, that is wheat or rice, sugar, kerosene, these rations that are made available at subsidized price. Ration shops, again, have to be monitored carefully because there's the opportunity for siphoning off quantities and quality. But these wall paintings let people know what they should be demanding. In dealing with communities, it's important to find out the literacy rate. Where we work, many people are illiterate, particularly women who have been encouraged to stay home and do domestic chores or farm chores rather than complete their schooling. We've realized that posters that show graphically what people's rights are very important. It helps people remember the stories that connect to schemes. On the next slide is a public distribution system poster that shows in the upper left corner a dysfunctional PDS shop, and in the forefront a PDS shop that is working properly, giving people the proper amount of grain, the proper quality of grain, and at the proper prices. The next slide shows an Anganwadi poster. Again, Anganwadis, these government daycare centers, can be either an excellent opportunity for students or they can be dysfunctional. So it's important to talk about what the requirements for Anganwadis are and to see if on the local level those requirements are being met. Right to information is another important law in India, and people sometimes fear that there'll be retaliation for it. The next slide gives you a poster that illustrates the kinds of issues that people can inquire about through right to information. Social audit is part of the government schemes, but it's rarely implemented. Social audit simply means that the community monitors how public services are delivered. The next slide illustrates that. We have found in our work in rural communities that when mothers monitor midday meal, the program starts operating correctly because those mothers know what's supposed to happen and they want their children to get those benefits. Community radio, again, is an important medium, and not only are programs broadcast, but programs are made by local community members. There's a slide about Humse Hai Sashan, Governance by Us, showing that a local police officer has met with the reporters and community members to have a discussion about important issues in that community on the radio. Man Ki Baat, we have a slide showing interviews with school children to understand what issues they feel their community should be paying attention to. In addition to these media, there are mobile phone opportunities. Many people have mobile phones and listen to the radio on their mobile phones. We send text messages and voice messages to people about flagship government programs. And last but not least, there are newsletters in local language that carry local stories to educate people about cases in their community. Legal literacy camps, it's important in organizing a legal literacy camp to coordinate, again, with civil society organizations that the community trusts. It's important to collaborate with the Legal Services Authority, in part because the Legal Services Authority can provide follow-up on the cases that come up at a legal literacy camp. It's wise to invite local officials to attend the camp because often they can solve problems that day. And it's very important to document the pattern of problems that occur at a legal literacy camp. We typically have between 700 and 2,000 people come to the legal literacy camps that we hold. That's a lot of data that can be collected efficiently. In dealing with community on gender-sensitive issues, it's important to remember that some things simply must be discussed in women-only groups. We are working with MAHILA Gram SABHA, which is a way for women of the community to plan what they have to say at the Gram SABHA meetings. And this is an important tool in working with communities. On ethics, as mentioned before, integrity, zeal, competence, making sure you have no conflict of interest, making sure you're keeping information confidential rather than sharing it indiscreetly, and making sure that you are aware of your own biases and that you respect the legal rights of everyone with whom you're dealing. Lawyers have the standards of professional conduct and etiquette. For those working with legal services authorities, paralegal volunteers also have limits that relate to ethics. They can be fired for disinterest or abusive position or misconduct or being overly enthusiastic as a member of a political party, which could cause them to react with bias. Lastly, I want to raise the issue of documenting community findings. It's important to document with the community the findings you have about access to justice issues. Community justice case studies, successes and failures, insights on facts that are relevant to particular issues, strategies that you've tried, research that you've done. This kind of documentation makes the work that you've done relevant for future students, for lawyers, and for the community itself. Other forms of justice documentation are participatory research, monitoring government schemes against the actual legal requirements, how are public services being delivered, also documenting the patterns of problems that emerge at legal literacy camps, and contributing to the development of poverty law tools. In conclusion, I urge you to listen, learn, and engage with communities. Marginalized people face much injustice. Seek the facts from them of what their lives are like and figure out how law can be a lever to change injustice in their lives. In terms of access to justice work with communities, what are the priority needs of the community? From what harm do people need protection? Plan your efforts to lead to legal empowerment of citizens. If you empower people so that they can act when you're gone, you've done a great service. Your contribution to strengthening that network will help students, lawyers, and communities in the future. I encourage you to look at the Learn More resources at the end of my reading material for Module 17. You'll find a number of websites to explore. Namati has resources that people from multiple countries have compiled for representing low-income communities. There are videos, audio tracks from community radio. So I hope that you will enjoy exploring those resources. Thanks very much, and I hope that you do commit yourself to engaging with communities both as a student and in your professional life. Thank you.